You ever have a moment where you just know someone picked the wrong guy to mess with? Yeah, that happened. Only they didn't realize it until it was too late. Until the water was already rising and the world they'd built on a lie started to come apart right in front of their eyes. And let me tell you, watching it happen, well, it was just about the only thing that's made me smile in a long time. See, I'm Jack Delaney, 67, Army Corps engineer for 40 years, 6 continents, too many scars to count, and one stubborn heart that refuses to quit. My place. 48 acres of pine and hickory, hidden behind a low ridge where the only sound, for most of my life, was the creek singing through the trees and the generator humming out back while I worked in my shop. That's where I built my dam, a real one, not some garden pond. It was old, handed down from my granddad, but I fixed it up, made it stronger, turned a trickle into a 3-acre pond. Not for fishing, not for show. My wife Maggie, God rest her, she was sick. Couldn't move much on dry land. But in the water she was light again, laughing even when the chemo had her beat. That pond was her medicine. After she passed, it was all I had left of her. Then the world changed. Started with a glossy envelope, all gold lettering and fake warmth. The glades at Willow Creek, it said, new luxury homes, rising property values, shared community. President of the HOA, a woman named Karen O'Connell, wrote it herself. Tucked in the back? A little map and a big ask. Could they run stormwater overflow through the low corner of my land? Said it was a formality. I mailed back a single line. No, thank you. Figured that'd be the end of it. Let me back up a sec. If you've ever dealt with people like this, you already know that no is just the beginning. A week goes by, phone rings at dawn. It's Karen, voice as smooth as a river rock, hard as the boulder underneath. Mr. Delaney, our engineers say this is the only way forward. Surely you see reason. I told her I'd built bigger things in places her engineers couldn't spell, and hung up. Next thing I know, diesel engines at dawn, heavy machines chewing up earth, on my side of the ridge, not theirs. Some foreman with a clipboard, telling me their new survey puts my meadow on their books. Showed me stamped permits. Looked official, felt wrong. By noon they'd carved a road through my wildflowers, laid pipe where deer used to bed down, poured foundations like I wasn't even there. Day after day, deeper into my land, hammers and saws echoing across what used to be peace. Then they came for my dam. Bulldozer big as a house. Operator shrugs, says he's just following orders. First shove of that blade, years of work, of Maggie's laughter, ripped out. Water bled down to a muddy ditch. They called it mitigation. I called it sacrilege. In an hour, they'd erased what took a lifetime to build. I drove straight to town, hired the best lawyer I could find. For 2 weeks, hope. Then a call, voice shaky, defeated. Karen's threatened to ruin me. She'll file complaints, drag this out. Jack, I can't help. So I took my deed, my maps, everything to the county. Clerk's face blank, said the HOA filed for an uncontested easement. The window to object had passed. Never mind that I'd never even been told. Legally, you have no standing. That word, powerless, stuck in my throat the whole drive home. Standing in the ruin of Maggie's pond, mud on my boots, I spotted something. A faded blue ring, half buried. One of her old floats, the kind she'd slip over her wrist when the pain got bad. I pulled it free, stood there feeling every year settle on my shoulders. I thought they'd taken everything. I thought maybe they'd won. But they'd forgotten what they were building on me. I spent 3 days in my workshop, overlaying county plats with my granddad's hand-drawn maps. Turns out, the land they'd claimed was a mess of errors. But the real find? An old USGS floodplain survey, 1913, before there was ever a dam. It marked the entire low basin as prone to inundation. For a century, that little dam was the only thing keeping those future million-dollar homes from being the bottom of a muddy lake. And now the dam was gone. Cue the villain's entrance. Karen herself, black SUV, heels sinking in my driveway, face set to smug. She offered to buy the rest of my land for peanuts, then switched to threats, taxes, code violations, calling adult services. I stared past her at those shiny new houses, thinking of the families who'd move in with no idea what was coming. I told her, "You built wrong. I'm going to let nature decide." She left in a spray of gravel. That night, I called my cousin Benny, hydrologist, conspiracy nut, best drone pilot in 3 counties. Benny rolled up with his truth teller, a drone built for war, not weddings. We flew it over the site, mapped every inch. That's how we found the real kicker. The property line was off by 20 feet, meaning half a dozen houses were literally on my deed. Game cameras caught dump trucks sneaking in after dark, dumping construction waste where my pond had been. Binder full of proof in hand, I walked into the city planning meeting, laid out my evidence calm as you please. For a moment, a few folks leaned in. Then Karen's lawyer jumped up, painted me as a crackpot, an unstable old man, harassing hard-working contractors. They shut me down fast, but Benny just nodded. You can't fight paper with paper, Jack. Time to show them what water does. A few nights later, I got an anonymous email. You were right. Attached was a thread between Karen and her own engineers. The lead flagged the same flood map, warned about risk. Karen's reply, the dam's on the old man's land. Worst case, we deal with water. Best case, he sells cheap or simply dies before it becomes an issue. Yeah, you read that right. For a while, the system did its best to break me. Cease and desist signs on my driveway, code inspectors sniffing around, a sheriff at my door, like I was the criminal here. It got to me, I'll admit. I sat at Maggie's grave one evening, told her maybe I was done fighting, maybe it was just time to walk away. That's when Ed, my neighbor, Vietnam vet, steady as stone, showed up. He handed me a brass valve handle, said, you fix that dam, Jack. Just don't let it be you who breaks. Sometimes, all it takes is one person believing in you to set things right. So I did what I do best. I rebuilt the dam, but not the old way. This one had a secret, a sluice gate, hidden, reinforced, remote triggered. And then came the rain, the big one. Inches per hour, rivers turning mean. I sat in my workshop, drone feet up, pressure sensors ticking up, Benny on the line. Their fancy retention ponds, overflowing. Brand new lawns, underwater. Karen in her suit, shouting into a walkie, helpless. I waited until the pond hit the red line. Then I flipped the switch. No drama, just a deep thunk, and the water surged down the old creek bed, right through the slab of their illegal street. It didn't touch a single home that was legal, just the ones built on my land, in the path of the old floodplain. It was like watching history reclaim itself. And Karen? She went down in the mud, screaming lawsuits. Drone caught it all. I sent the files to every authority, every news desk, posted it on the local Facebook group. The story exploded. Suddenly, Karen's spin about the crazy saboteur didn't hold up against maps, videos, her own email. The new homeowners, terrified, called an emergency meeting. I showed up with Benny, Ed, and a retired couple who'd been bullied by the HOA for years. Karen tried her speech, but when I plugged in the USB drive, slides, maps, drone footage, that damning email, the room turned. Someone stood up. I put my life savings in that house. And then the shouting started. Ed called for a vote of no confidence. It was unanimous. Karen was done, escorted out by security, her empire in ruins. The fallout was brutal. The county revoked permits, ordered demolition, forced the developer to restore every inch of my land, and rebuild the pond under my supervision. Karen got sued by everyone, lost her law license, and last I heard, was living in a condo she couldn't afford. The new HOA, run by actual homeowners, not bullies, rebuilt, replanted, did things right. And me? Well, I used the small windfall from licensing the drone footage to set up a legal fund, helping folks like me fight back against HOAs and crooked developers. The pond is full, clear, and a brass plaque marks Maggie's water. Some weekends, I teach the neighborhood kids how the new dam works. Ed grills hot dogs. Benny flies the drone for fun, not war. Sometimes I watch the sun set and think about how close I came to giving up. But you know what? Some things you just don't let go. Not for money, not for peace, not for anything. My land, my memories, my word, they weren't for sale. And that's the truth the water wrote for everyone to see. So what do you think? Was I right to let nature run its course, or did I go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your own battles, tell me where you stand. Because sometimes, the only way to hold the line is to be the last one standing on it.